friends. Welcome to our special mini lecture series, Talk Tuesdays. I'm Laura Gonzalez, the Director of Education and Volunteer Services at Santa Fe's premier living history museum, El Rancho de las Golondrinas. We are located in the beautiful and historic La Cienega Valley. Today, our special guests include board member and chair of our 50th anniversary planning committee, Carla Aragon, and members of the dance group La Sociedad Colonial Española de Santa Fe, established in 1948. We will be learning all about the beautiful history and tradition of El Baile de Los Cascarones, and they will be doing a special performance just for us. We are pleased to welcome our live audience here from our Palomino Education Center on site at Las Golondrinas, as well as our online audience. Thank you all for joining us. Carla Aragon is on the board of El Rancho de las Golondrinas, and her mother, also in our audience today, Socorro Aragon, was one of the founding board members in 1972. Carla is an Emmy award-winning journalist with 40 years of broadcast experience and was an award-winning television news anchor at KOB TV Albuquerque and KNBC TV in Los Angeles prior to her retirement. She produces and does on-camera voice work for various television and radio projects through her company, Spirited Voice and Talent. Carla left television news to pursue other interests and is currently a freelance journalist and author. Her works include a bilingual children's book called Dance of the Eggshells, Baile de los Cascarones. The book won a 2010 New Mexico Book Award, and her audiobook won the 2011 International Latino Book Award for Best Children's Audio Bilingual Book. That, of course, is the subject of today's Talk Tuesday. So without further ado, I am very pleased to welcome Carla Aragon and Las Coloniales.
Thank you so much, Laura, and to you in the audience, thank you for being here. You online, thank you as well. This is going to be a fun presentation. Before we get started with the actual topic, I just want to say on April 9th, I attended the volunteer luncheon at El Rancho de las Golondrinas, and I was truly, truly humbled by the number of people who give of their time to teach the people of New Mexico and actually people outside of New Mexico about our history and our lifeways and about the Spanish colonial period in New Mexico. And I was truly blown away by the number of hours that you all put in. So today, I'd like to say thank you to you, the volunteers, and to you who are watching. We are celebrating our 50th anniversary, and we could not do it without you. You are the backbone, and you are the heart of Las Golondrinas. So I want to start by saying thank you. Also, I'd like to acknowledge my mother. As Laura mentioned, her name is Socorro Aragon, and she was a founding board member here at this museum and a volunteer for so many years, probably decades. And it's because of her that I have developed such a passion for all kinds of traditions that we grew up with, but especially for El Rancho de las Golondrinas. And today also happens to be her 88th birthday. So Mom, happy birthday to you. And this is my gift to you. So there we go. Some of you may be wondering, why am I giving this presentation on this Dance of the Eggshells after Easter? Well, yeah, that was Sunday. Is my timing off? Well, actually, this is the absolute perfect time to tell you about a beautiful tradition in Santa Fe because the annual Baile de los Cascarones is held a week after Easter. And it's going to be held this Saturday, a week after Easter, at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center. And following tradition, and after 2 years of the pandemic, the dance sponsored by La Sociedad Folclórica will take place, like I said, at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center at 7 o'clock. And I have to tell you, I absolutely love this tradition because it's not just one tradition, it's all kinds of different traditions packed into this wonderful, wonderful dance. It's something that I've been doing since I was a little girl. As you can see on the slide, back in the old days, and I never thought I would be saying that, but I would join all of the other children at the dance, and I would fill my Easter basket with cascarones and sell them at the dance. Well, these days, the cascarones are sold at a table by the members of the Sociedad Folclórica. This one is a publicity photo that was taken for the Santa Fe New Mexican. And in that photo is me, of course. I'm the taller little girl, and my sister, Michelle Marmion. And I'm not sure who the other people are, but I don't think they look as enthusiastic as I do. But I love this because it shows I've been doing this for a really long time. When I retired from TV news, I decided that I wanted to publish a children's book about this special tradition, to teach young people about the value of traditions and how it creates a bond in our families and actually within our communities. Now, the popularity of the cascarones has exploded in the last decade or so. In 2008, when I was writing Dance of the Eggshells, Baile de Los Cascarones, I discovered that cascarones were being sold at Walgreens and Albertsons, and I thought, wow, I was shocked to see them commercialized. But then again, I was really pleased to know that people were learning about this really, really fun tradition. A few weeks later, after I saw them in the stores, my stepdaughter gave me an article from Southwest magazine. It was Spirit magazine, and it listed 63 ways to get wild with a kid. And number 12 was to crack cascarones. So, yep, word about the cascarones is getting around. Okay. So, back to our Santa Fe roots. My children's book, did I get ahead? You saw that one, right? Okay. My children's book is about a brother and sister who visit their grandmother in New Mexico, and she teaches them about this special tradition. And the book describes the Baile de Cascarones, and it consists of two things. The first one is the tradition of the cascarones, and I'm going to explain a little bit later about how the cascarones are used. But the second part of the tradition is the dances, and most of the dances performed at the Baile are from the Spanish colonial period, and they're just so much fun to do, as you're going to see. That's actually my favorite part of the dance, and today we really have a wonderful treat. As Laura mentioned, members of Los Coloniales are going to give a little demonstration. But first, a little bit of history. No one knows for sure where the cascarones came from, but there is a theory. Santa Fe's La Sociedad Folclórica, the Folklore Society, and it's made up of several women who are preserving the traditions and the customs and the language of colonial New Mexico, Spanish colonial New Mexico. They have embraced this custom for decades. And their members' research shows that some credit the explorer Marco Polo with bringing them back to Italy from China in the early 14th century. The Chinese filled their eggs with perfume and scented powder. And from Italy, the eggs and the idea traveled to Austria and then to France and then to Spain. So it's believed the cascaron was brought to Mexico in the 1860s. That's one of the myths, by Carlota, the wife of Emperor Maximilian I. Empress Carlota wanted to bring a little bit of European civility and etiquette to Mexico at the time, and she tried to teach the Mexicans proper etiquette. So this cascaron was introduced, probably with a little bit of perfume in it at the time. Now, while some credit Carlota for the introductions of the cascarones, there are some written accounts that cascarones were used in California before Carlota and Maximilian arrived in Mexico. So we really don't know, where they actually got started, but we do know that they started in Mexico. So from Mexico City, the decorated eggshells traveled north to the American Southwest, to New Mexico, and then to Texas, Arizona, and then also to California. Now, the making and breaking of the cascarones is associated with the carnaval that precedes Lent in Mexico. And they have also been used in courting rituals. When you want to flirt with somebody, you break a cascaron over their head, and to wish a person good luck. And they are extremely, extremely popular during Easter time. In fact, nowadays, there's a pretty big festival that is held in San Antonio, and it's called the Festival of Cascarones. So in Santa Fe, the tradition of the cascaron is tied to a dance, the Baile de los Cascarones. Since 1935, 1937, Las Socias, the members of the Sociedad Folclórica, have been sponsoring the dance. And again, I repeat it, it's always held a week after Easter. After getting through Lent and Easter, it was time to really celebrate. So people were, yes, let's get on to the dance. And one of the things about this dance that is really cool is that everybody dresses up in their fiesta attire. You can see on the screen, for the most part, people are really dressed up. So during Lent in the late 1800s, northern New Mexico Catholics were very, very faithful. They didn't eat meat on Fridays, and in some cases, they didn't eat meat at all the entire 40 days. And they were also not permitted to dance. So they relied on eggs as their source of protein. So the women served up egg dishes as a protein substitute and saved the eggshells to decorate for the Baile de los Cascarones. Some of the eggs are used to make torrejas, or torta de huevo, egg fritters. And in the Aragon household, we have been doing this tradition going back decades, and we always do it on Good Friday. And this is my mother there. She's explaining how to cook the torrejas. She had an unruly group of children who didn't really want to learn, but I learned, and I love it. What you do to make the torrejas, as you see up there, is you separate the egg whites from the egg yolk, and then you whip up the egg whites with some of the seasonings, and my mom likes to put in the powder of camarón or the powder of shrimp. And then you fold them into the egg yolk, as you see up there. Then you place a spoonful into a pan of hot oil. And once they cook, you flip them over for an even consistency. And this is me cooking torrejas several years ago. And you can put these torrejas usually in your red chili. It's a replacement for meat. Or you can just serve them on their own. They're absolutely delicious. They always go fast, and there are never, ever any leftovers. So salmon patties are also part of the Lenten meal. And this year, my sister Dora made them with panko crumbs instead of crackers. So I'm telling you, there are all these wonderful traditions that are kind of woven into the Baile de Cascarones. Okay. During the pandemic, I made my own Lenten meal since we couldn't gather. And it was the first time I did it all on my own, and this is the product. And it must be osmosis. I think I've learned something from my mom because my food was almost as delicious as hers. And so you can see, boy, they collected a lot of eggshells during this period. Okay, so how do you keep these eggshells intact? I am going to show you, okay? This is when I give talks to schools. Oh my God, the kids absolutely love this. And I'm hoping that this will not spill. But what you do, okay, you take a little screwdriver or any type, like an ice pick or some type of a needle, and you see you have the narrow end of the egg and then the big end of the egg. So you poke a hole on the top, okay? I just want to make sure it's... And then you poke a bigger hole on the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to throw back some of this eggshell. Sometimes the holes are so big and they're a little bit too big. So what do? You blow the egg yolk and the egg white out of the egg, and it goes like this. Easy. Easy peasy. And the kids love it. They hear this plop and they're like, ooh. But it's so much fun. And all you do is you rinse these eggshells out with cold water. You don't want warm water because, the egg yolk tends to stick and it gets really sticky. So cold water works really well. And then you put it to dry, fill it with a little bit of confetti, and then you glue some tissue over the hole. And I'll just show you just like this, okay? So, let's see. A cascaron can be very, very simple. It can be just dyed in colors like this, or it can be quite elaborate. As you see on the screen, there are some that are painted with beautiful faces. Some have glitter on them, and some of them, the cascarones that have been made are actually pieces of art. Diana Lujan does a lot of work with straw work on some of these cascarones, so it has really become an art as well as just doing a fun little craft project. Okay, and you can see this is a goose egg. It's a little bit bigger, so you can use all kinds of eggs. Okay, the whole idea is to have fun and to be creative. And members of the folklorica are required to make several dozen of these cascarones that they take to the dance. And here is why. Okay, Dan, could I use you as a volunteer? Okay. This is a really, really fun tradition. The cascarones are broken over the head of a dance partner. Okay, so come over here. I want to ask you to dance. Oh, Dan. Would you dance with me?
I would, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I needed somebody to do that for me. And Dan's hair is so beautifully coiffed. I'm sorry I messed it up. But they're broken over the head of the person that you want to dance with, which is so cool. You know, and everybody invites everyone to dance. Now, I have to say the proper way, and I did it the proper way, Dan, you're very, very lucky, it's to crack the egg over your partner's head, not on the partner's head. So that's very specific. And in my children's book, the kids laugh about that because I try to make it very clear. You know, some kids can just go and bomb you. And the thing about these cascarones, too, which is interesting, is that if you put too much glue, and I'm sure Julia and Mom know about this, if you put too much glue on the egg, it becomes hard as a rock, and it doesn't crack. I mean, it just gives you a headache. So it's nice to have that minimal glue there. But it's just so much fun. I mean, everybody gets into the action, young and old. It is messy, as you will see here. You know, they're going to have to do some cleanup. And the confetti ends up getting all over the place, into your clothes, into your boots. And what I usually end up doing is having to take off my clothes in the garage before I come in. But I find confetti in my car. I find them all over the place. So, okay. Now, here's a couple of pictures. And my dad is there with my niece, and then my husband with my Aunt Celine, and my Uncle George with my niece, and then a couple of friends, Benny and Sylvia. So you can see young and old just have so much fun with this tradition. Okay. So earlier I mentioned that there are two parts to the dance: the cascarones, which we have talked about, and performing the Spanish colonial dances. Now, in the past, the group consisted of violinists, guitarists, and a guitarron. And they always had somebody who would call the dances, and that person would be called a bastonero. And actually, there have been bastoneras, women who call it, and actually Julia Gomez was one of our bastoneras one year. And they tell you which dances you're going to be doing. Now, there are fewer and fewer musicians who play this traditional type of music. And that really is unfortunate because it's such beautiful music and it's so fun. And it reflects New Mexico. But I think this music is making a comeback with the popularity of the group known as Lon Piñon. And I'm sure you've heard them here at Las Golondrinas. You know, they do all of this music. And this is really the music that they played, you know, back in the 1800s. So these dances were so important to New Mexico communities during the 1800s. Ranchers and farmers lived far apart, sometimes just miles away, and they never really saw each other. They were always working on their ranch or their farm, their crops. Now, the dance was a huge social event which allowed everyone to gather. And many dances served as icebreakers so that people would come to get to know one another, especially some of the young kids. The dance was and is a family event. So, I mean, gosh, you bring the kids, you don't need a babysitter, you bring them along so that they can enjoy it. And some of the older people come to the event because they really enjoy the music and to hear, maybe they might not be able to dance, but they love the music. And it's a great opportunity for the little ones to learn the dance steps. They are taught. The baile was also an opportunity to find a mate. And as I said, it was used during courtship. And finally, the dance just allowed everyone to let off steam after being so obedient and faithful after Lent. Okay. So, of course, the dance usually begins with La Marcha, okay? But there are so many other dances to enjoy. La Varsa Vienna, which we are going to see in just a moment. El Baile de la Cuna, the cradle dance, which you're going to see as well. Then they have El Baile de los Celosos, the dance of the jealous ones, and where you have two circles that are going opposite directions. El Baile del Paño, which is the handkerchief dance. And I don't know if one of the other pictures show me and my husband dancing that one. And then my personal favorite, El Baile de la Escoba. And you can see Julia down there with the broom. And what has happened in years past is we really dress up the broom. This is my broom, you can see. And my mom made pretty little Marisol. So kids just love this. And this is a broom that is actually used during the broom dance for El Baile de Los Cascarones. So you can see that there are all of these wonderful, wonderful dances. Well, I love to dance, but I am not a really skilled dancer or a professional dancer, and I'm certainly not as good as the members of Los Coloniales. The group was founded in 1948, and right now I'd like to turn the program over to Ray. Would you mind coming up and just say a few words about the Coloniales and the first dance that we're going to see? This is Ray Quintana, and he is the president of the Coloniales. So come on up.
Thank you, Carla. And thank you for inviting us and having us today.
I'm glad you're here.
And we're so glad to be here. So my name is Ray Quintana, and as Carla said, I'm the president of the Sociedad Colonial Española de Santa Fe. And we have been around since 1948. A little bit of the history. The founding couples of Los Coloniales actually came largely from Santa Fe and from the Pecos area. As time has gone on, we've managed to be able to get membership from other couples who have come in from pretty much all over northern New Mexico. We have membership everything from Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Pecos, even as far north as Peñasco, Dixon, and all those. So our membership has expanded and has included people from many areas of northern New Mexico. As the Golondrinas is celebrating 50 years pretty soon, because we were formed in 1948, our group will be celebrating 75 years in existence next year. Currently, we have about 20 couples, and most of our couples are getting on in age. And so we are looking for new membership. Anybody who might be interested in joining our group and learning all of these traditional dances that Carla had mentioned are more than welcome to join us. Actually, at one point, my wife and I were actually about the youngest of the couples recently. And as you can tell, I'm pretty young, right? But we were the youngest couple, and we've had a few others join. And so fortunately, we do have larger membership. As Carla mentioned, the dances that we strive to preserve have been danced here for many, many decades, if not centuries. The music also is reflective of a lot of influences, not just the Spanish and the Mexican, but European influences as well. Two dances that we will be doing, as Carla mentioned, is La Cuna, which is the cradle dance, and you'll see it is danced with two couples. And they intertwine with each other, and then when we are in position, our arms actually form a cradle, which you will see within the dance. The second one that we'll be doing is called the Varsa Vienna, and that is from a Polish influence. In Spanish, Varsovia is the Spanish name for Warsaw, Poland. And Varsa Vienna means that it's the girl who comes from Poland. And so there's a lot of influence, and it's really interesting on the development of all these dances. And it's really something to try to preserve this culture, and this is what our group strives to do. And so we are happy to be here today and to be able to demonstrate to you these two dances. So, thank you.
Let's do it. Okay. I understand that. Okay, Ray, introduce some of your members who are going to help us out today.
I'd love to. So from our Coloniales, we have here today Manuel Valdez and his wife Judy. And together we'll be demonstrating to you a couple of dances today, and the first one will be La Cuna.
Okay, let's get started. Thank you, Ray, and thank you, members of the Coloniales. You know, these traditions about the cascarones and the dances are so, so important. For years, our elders have been faithfully preserving these traditions, but we really need an infusion of energy. We need young people to join these groups, to carry them forth, and it really is an urgency right now. And that's one of the reasons I wrote my book, El Baile de Los Cascarones, the Dance of the Eggshells, because I really want to keep these traditions alive. And kids will be responding to this book. Hopefully they'll nudge their parents, you know, towards some of these traditions. And my hope is that they'll do them within their families. Besides, you know, this is just plain fun, just fun to do. Again, I'd like to say that the 82nd annual Baile de los Cascarones is going to be held this Saturday, April 23rd at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center, sponsored by the Sociedad Folclórica. The cost is $12 per person, $20 per couple, and only cash. And I will be there. I hope you will be too. And thank you so much for watching us online. Thank you, volunteers, and everyone for being here today. I really, really appreciate it. Laura?
Thank you, Carla. Yes, I second that. Thank you so much for being part of our mini lecture series, Talk Tuesdays. Thank you to Los Coloniales, to our live audience here at the Palomino Education Center on site at El Rancho de las Golondrinas. That was really beautiful, so much fun. Definitely go and support the dance. Remember that Las Golondrinas is proudly celebrating our 50th anniversary here in 2022. We officially open the first Wednesday in June. We hope to see all of you out here during all of our festivities. We've got 50 events for 50 years. We'd love to see you out here. Carla, you'll be back to help us plan a lot of these events. Yes, and we've got a lot going on, so make sure to check us out on our social media, on our Facebook and our Instagram, both at SF Golondrinas. This video, along with all of the other videos that we produce, are available on there, on our Facebook, and they'll also be linked to our YouTube. If you go to youtube.com and type in Las Golondrinas channel, this video and all the videos before this will be posted there. We've got one more Talk Tuesday set up for you. It's going to be not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, which I believe is Tuesday, May 3rd, right here live at the Palomino Education Center at 11 a.m. El Rancho de las Golondrinas. We'll be posting about that. It's going to feature Corey Murchie, a member of our operations crew. He's going to be talking all about farming, agriculture, the history of las acequias right here at Las Golondrinas. We hope you can join us for that. That video will also be posted along with it. We hope to see you out for our 50th. Remember, for all things Golondrinas, your adventure starts at golondrinas.org. Thank you so much for joining us.